Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am James Fernandez, and with me for this evening's Talking the Tightrope is your friend and mine, Mr. Yuri Lowenthal.
Howdy.
Mr. Yuri Lowenthal is the man of 1,000 voices, but you've actually been able to see his face as well. Bug Boy in Shelf Life, he's been Tank Dempsey, beating up some zombies and Nazis. Zombies, I'll probably call them pretty soon. And I don't know, I'm looking at this list of like shows that he's done with his voice, and it's like, who's ever heard of like Ben 10 and Naruto and Legion of Superheroes and Diablo 3? Psh, that's like so 4 days ago when they released it on consoles. I'm just saying.
I have yet to play it on. I have yet to play it at all. So I'm glad they released it on consoles. I'm much more likely to play it that way. I'm not a PC gamer.
Oh, all right. See, Diablo was always like, I started with Diablo on PC, so I've always been, you know, that's where I'll always go for Diablo. But I do think it's great that they released it onto the gaming consoles to help spread the love.
Yeah, no, most people who have played Diablo play it on PC, as I understand it.
Yeah, I think the same thing happened with Minecraft. Recently, the gaming consoles surpassed its PC sales.
Really?
Yeah, it took it quite a while, but they finally surpassed them. Just it's easier access, more comfortable with the control scheme. I can get it completely.
Yeah, yeah. That's a runaway.
I run away from Enderman with a keyboard. I don't use a gaming console. Enderman scares the shit out of me, and I run using my W key, so it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, if I could do that, you know, that two-hand thing that people do when they're PC gaming. Although, of course, when I was growing up, before I had a console, it was only, you know, PC gaming.
Yeah, like
I mean,
that was where the top shelf stuff was.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I had it in television. That was my first personal console that I had. My friends had Ataris, and then when I was headed overseas, the big concession was my dad bought us a Betamax and an Intellivision. So that's how old I am.
A Betamax, that's friggin' sweet right there.
Yep.
If only the porn industry hadn't screwed you guys, you'd still be able to run that bad boy today.
Man, porn drives all technology.
It does. I think the chain of command is something like military, and then the first commercial application is generally like for entertainment and like video technology. It's like military, pornography, and then, you know, general use. So, good job, porn industry. Thanks.
What's going to happen when porn gets into drones? I'm trying to think of how they could use drones effectively.
With a lot of funky bass lines. You're going to actually hear the funky bass line coming from, you know, like 500 feet away. It's going to be really uncomfortable. Exactly. What the hell is that? God, Tara, get inside the house. I don't know who it's targeting. Get out.
Lock the doors. Get my tactical hatchet.
Exactly. Yep, we got to be prepared for this shit, because I'm not going to let the wrong drone get in my house again.
Mm-hmm.
So, with me tonight, Mr. Yuri Lowenthal, and in our little adventure here called Apotheosis, Mr. Lowenthal has a pretty important part. He plays Peter Morrison. He is a former CIA operative who is known as the man who pulls the first thread in our particular series. After years of hunting for the whispers and the rumors that were the project that created superhumans in 1966 and in 2000, Peter Morrison is the first one to show us the evidence, the irrefutable evidence that these projects not only exist, but that there are modern-day repercussions and echoes to them, that there's still something going on in the modern day. Peter Morrison is actually a very big part of the series itself. He's the first. If you know what a Rube Goldberg device is, those of you who don't know, it's an extremely super complicated machine built to do something relatively simplistic. So the guy hits the dominoes, and the dominoes hit the string trap, and the string trap hits this, and then this makes a bowling ball go down a chute, and et cetera, until it pours a glass of water for Yuri at the end after like 40 minutes of wacky machinery. So yeah, that's a Rube Goldberg device, and Peter Morrison is very much the beginning of the Rube Goldberg device, and his hands are on the plot to expose it all throughout the series.
Yeah, I like to expose things, so that works.
There you go. Yeah, Yuri exposing things ever since 1977.
That's right.
Exactly. So, all right, if you can, we'll start off the bat. You were one of the actors that I actually approached to do these roles. I did a casting process for some of them, and then there were certain actors that I approached. And for you in particularly, when I finally made the decision to make this production a new media production under SAG-AFTRA, as I'll call it officially.
Yes.
I can say SAG-AFTRA, but SAG-AFTRA sounds like some sort of magic user. Sounds like a wizard. Exactly. When I decided to go for SAG-AFTRA, one of the actors I thought about was Yuri Lowenthal, and it came to me because I remember seeing an interview years ago when he was on the Stream.tv, run by Brian Gramo.
Yeah.
And, that's the first time I'd seen your face, and the era of animation I grew up with. You weren't at the time. You weren't doing anything in there, so they would name off the shows, and I had heard of them, but I hadn't watched those shows at all. So for me, it was just a matter of this is really entertaining, charismatic guy, and he's talking. And they start talking about all the animated stuff you did, and then I remember you screaming over 9,000 with Brian Gramo.
That
was the height.
Right.
Yeah, that was the height of the Dragon Ball Z joke right there. It's its first peak. And so I looked at his list of credits, and I thought, holy crap, Yuri has all these skill sets and all of this physical ability to do things on camera, except for one thing, Yuri hasn't appeared a lot on camera, I've noticed. And when I was thinking about Peter Morrison and I saw, you have some training with firearms, you have training in martial arts, I'm assuming Kung Fu or Karate?
Started with Taekwondo and then worked my way up to Kung Fu.
Nice. Okay, so we have a TKD man. I like it.
Yeah.
So, I saw the skill set, and, I was familiar with them, and then saw some of the live action stuff he did, and one of the reasons that I was nervous to approach you for the role, but one of the reasons I came up to you is just I want to show Yuri's face and his acting skill sets. And that was one of the big things to where it's all right, well, he can either say that this script is a piece of shit and never talk to me again, or, maybe he'll give it a shot. And I was extremely fortunate that Yuri agreed to join us as Peter Morrison.
Join us is the same thing as stalking you, right?
Well, I mean, you can stalk me if you want, but you would be the first one, and you'd be the saddest one. Your fans are going to start writing you letters of pity. And it's that's the guy that you stalk. Have you looked at him, Yuri? Is there a glaucoma? Is there something wrong with your eyes? Because I don't know stalking that guy. He's pretty beastly.
Man, that's why you'd least expect it. Would you expect me to stalk you back? No, that's why I'm going to stalk you, and that's why I'm going to succeed.
You're more than welcome to, buddy. I was talking with Allison Van Orr on the first episode of Talking the Tightrope, and while she's sipping martinis and smoking cigars, I'm the dude eating candy cigarettes and Subway sandwiches. So, stalk on, playa. You go ahead and stalk on.
Maybe we should both stalk Allison.
That's fine. I mean, Rob's not going to care as long as we give him a taco. He's set.
Right?
Yeah, just give that man a taco and we're good to go. So if you can, for our audience, and right now, just as for those of you watching and joining us with Yuri, we have a little more than 14 days left for this Kickstarter campaign. This is a really wonderful window of opportunity for us to try to be able to pull this together with a 15-member cast, which Yuri is a part of, and we can't do it without your help. We have 14 days to bring it alive, and if you can help us, we absolutely appreciate it. Every dollar, every mention, every bit of attention you can give the campaign counts, and it counts right now. Because if the window of opportunity closes, the show isn't dead, the plan isn't dead, but who knows how it changes in the time it may take to retool, to figure out a new path, to do all that kind of stuff. So this is just a really strong opportunity for us to bring this show alive. It's a 70-minute trailer about the fallout of 2 U.S. government attempts to create superhumans. And these are not... I didn't create knockoffs of, Superman and Batman. This isn't Superior Man and Night Vigilante and Wondrous Amazon. We're trying to create characters from whole cloth that do make different choices, that do things different from what you expect.
Mm-hmm. And if every one of my Twitter followers gave $1, we'd be there. Yeah, and that's the best thing. Like, I know a lot of campaigns, there's those intimidating tiers at the top, Yuri, where it's like, oh, for $2,500 you can be an executive producer. Right.
For $10,000, every single dollar bill, every George Washington that happens to have an unfinished pyramid on the back
Right.
counts. Yeah, that unfinished pyramid. Every
Right.
single dollar counts.
Right.
Every $3 counts. Every $5
Right.
counts. Yeah, exactly. You can see it in the lower thirds. It's that pyramid right there. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
see how to boom pyramid. There we go. Yeah,
I crush you. I crush you.
there it is. That he's crushing the unfinished. Notice how the unfinished eye is impervious to his finger crushes.
Oh
That's
my
impressive.
God, I can't get it. I can't grab it.
Those masons build that shit strong, sir. They build that
Right?
shit strong.
I know. I know. They're secret.
They are very
Um,
secret.
yeah, and for for the people who can't even donate any money, just passing it around will help because somewhere along the line somebody might see it and go, that deserves my attention and my well-earned dollars.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean that's what it's all about. Especially right now, the biggest thing is getting it noticed. You can see the metrics on the page and all that, and just not being able to get the numbers. So spread the word. If you can't even donate a dollar, you spreading the word is just as good. Spread
Yep.
the word. Let them know about our little conspiracy. So my first question for you, Yuri, is I came up to you with this script, and I'm like, "Dear Yuri Lowenthal, do you want to come play in my new sandbox?" What was it that made you decide that you wanted to join the cast? What was it about the project that you decided, you know what, I'd like to be a part of this. I want to play in the sandbox. And you already have the job, so you don't have to kiss my butt. There you go.
Um, I think it was the background check I ran on you. Um,
Yes.
yeah, certain things popped up. You sounded dangerous in all the right ways, and I decided to get involved. Besides that, if the script was smart, and very ambitious, and the kind of story that I've always wanted to be a part of. So so it was really just a bunch of things that added up. Now, clearly, if it was terribly written and boring, I would have said, "Oh, thank you, man. Good luck with your project." Wow, all the people now in this hangout who have approached me for things in the past that I've said that to now hate me. But
You can't give away your secrets, Yuri. I told you, man. You give away your
I
secrets,
know,
that's on you.
I know. But they all added up to things that I wanted to do, and more importantly for me recently, that I did not have to produce myself, because that's how I've been working lately. To make those things happen, I have to do all the heavy lifting, all the carrying, all the cheerleading myself, and to have you be spearheading it, and to be able to share that burden. That was a selling point as well. I'm not gonna lie.
No, no, I understand. That actually leads us into the first thing I wanted to talk about, which is producing content, producing independent content.
Hmm.
Yuri, along with his wife, Tara Platt, are Monkey Kingdom Productions.
Hmm.
And I know one of the projects you have coming up is Topsy McGee versus the Sky Pirates,
Yeah.
which sounds like the best gangster fight in like the world of like dancing gang fights ever.
Oh my
Um,
god.
I'm just saying that'd be sweet, but it looks like a really sweet kind of like steampunk fantasy adventure, which
Yeah.
I like a lot. But you create content. Let's talk about some of the difficulties and challenges in creating content in this space. You're more experienced than I am. Like I had 4 years. I did Vampirism Bites, which was a comedy series.
Hmm.
I know you guys have produced a lot of stuff. What are some of the top challenges for you when it comes to producing your content? I mean, what really sort of wears you out in the process of trying to bring these things alive?
I think public enemy number one is getting eyeballs on it. The internet is such a big place now. I mean, it's great. It's the Wild West. We can do whatever we want. We don't have to try to appeal to every single person who would be watching TV and make something really watered down. You can really say, oh, I just want to make, content for, people who like Doctor Who but hate, I don't know. You can get really specific on it, and so you can do whatever you want. Unfortunately, everybody's doing that, and it's hard to get people to filter through to what you are putting out. So we've gotten really good at creating content, and that's the fun part, and the exciting part. And the hard part that we're still trying to figure out is how to make sure that finds its audience. Like when we did 4 seasons of a show called Shelf Life, and I'm super proud of it. I thought it was great, and the people who saw it thought it was great, but not a lot of people saw it, and I didn't quite know how to get. I thought it was just going to take off because I thought it was hilarious and well produced, but
Come on, it's got marker addiction. For God's sakes, it's got an addiction to getting high on markers. That shit is sweet.
Exactly, but I didn't know how to get it out there to all the people. Now we had a nice core audience who loved it, but I wanted more people to find it because we'd put so much blood and sweat and tears into it. And the same thing has happened with movies we've made. We're really good at making them, and then how to get them out there. That distribution process we're still trying to crack that nut. We've got a film that we're finishing up the deal for right now called Con Artists, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. Yeah, excellent. I don't want to jump your questions here. So, but we're signed with a sales agent, and we're trying to work out distribution right now because what good's putting all this effort and love into a movie that then nobody's going to see. It was fun making it, but we do that so that people can see it. We don't do it in a box.
Yeah, you can't do it in a vacuum, absolutely. Now, you're a lot higher up the food chain when it comes to getting distribution stuff than I am. Does it feel like
content? Content is well, trust. It's just I think it's just a matter of figuring it out and knowledge, because if the content is right and they can figure out what to do, it doesn't matter who you are. If they think you can sell, if they can sell your thing, then it doesn't matter that you're you, I'm me, or somebody Steven Spielberg. Well, if either of us were Steven Spielberg, I'm sure it would be no big deal. But,
yeah, I was gonna say it always matters to be Steven Spielberg.
Right.
So does it feel to you like you're trying to break this? You're underwater and you're trying to break the surface of the ocean, which is like we're just trying to find a way to sort of break out, or does it feel more like there's sort of like pressure from above that's sort of holding back things that aren't attached to a network, a studio, a recognizable business entity? What, for you personally, what does it feel more like for you guys?
I think the former. I don't feel like anybody's physically trying to stop us from doing what we want to do. I think it's just a matter of trying to break out and find the people who would like what we do. Technology has gotten to the point where you don't need a studio, with $100 million marketing budget to put whatever your thing is into theaters, or a network to put it on TV. Anybody can get their movie on VOD these days, or on iTunes. But then the question still is, we found, our first film is on iTunes, but nobody knows that it's there because we haven't had the marketing know-how, or whatever that knowledge is you need to know to find the people who would like that movie. So the distribution now is easier, but then you still got to promote it and market it in a way that people will know that it's there. Otherwise it's a tree in the forest kind of thing. That's not a
horse.
That's not a good situation. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that's fine. Just I always wonder about that as you get up there, because I always, there's sometimes the perception that it's like, well, the studios are trying to horn people out to make sure that they sort of keep their distribution networks, but it's feeling less and less like that.
Yeah.
And it's, as I get more experience, it does feel a lot more like you're trying to break the surface of the water to get people to notice that you're there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, from your guys' experience, have you felt like there's any certain paths that are starting to be worn out by, say, pioneers? For example, Bernie Burns down in Texas with Rooster Teeth, Freddie Wong and the amazing ascension of Rocket Jump from Freddie W. Does it feel like those trailblazers are allowing a potential for, potential pathways for stuff to get distributed a little bit easier, as opposed to days when it's like, oh, you shot something on the internet. Well, isn't that quaint?
Right. Well, I think, if anything, they are trailblazing it. And but you also can't go, oh, well, what did they do? I'll do exactly that. Because they clearly have done it so well that that's where people go to for that specific thing.
Thank you so much for saying that. That is like my mantra when it comes to this. It's not, you can't replicate someone else's stuff and then, oh, no problem. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be frustrating because, who would have said that, in some ways, we almost went about shelf life the wrong way, and I mean that not in that we did, we were doing what we wanted to do. We did what we thought was funny, and we did what we thought was exciting, and that kept us alive throughout the process. But if we had really been trying to maybe build a big audience and not spend lots and lots of money, we might have done a webcam show, and not tried to produce like a full-on TV show for the internet, because while we were getting 5,000 views an episode, people talking to their webcam once a day or once a week, were building $1 million subscriber followings, and it's hard to compete with that, and you have to it's hard to look at that and go, wow, they just did that thing that seems so simple to me, and here we are, pouring out money and blood and sweat and tears and production value and fancy writing and lots of people working on it and editing and post and effects and all that, and comparatively we're not getting the same viewership. But that just shows, I think, how the marketplace, and by marketplace I just mean the landscape, is changing. People are clearly looking to different things to entertain them, and I think, like what we were just talking about a second ago, I don't think that you can try to copy things. Well, you can and see if it works, but I think you got to make whatever moves your heart, and that's why I don't regret having done 4 seasons of Shelf Life, because it's the thing I'm the most proud of that that I've ever made. But it is a changing landscape, and those guys are trailblazing. I might not always like a certain show, but you can't deny that they're doing something right. And yeah, no, Rooster Teeth they're a monster. I mean, they're gods. I mean, they took what they had and they built an empire, and that clearly is fulfilling a lot of stuff, and a bunch of their shows I really do like. So.
Yeah, one of the more amazing things is, the mantra was go to LA, and Bernie built that out of Texas. That's where he is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know some people blow up and then come to LA. Some YouTube stars then come to LA to produce stuff. But yeah, you can do it from anywhere now, and especially it's empowered musicians. Filmmakers have gotten studio deals by for better or for worse, by short films that they've put on the internet and gone viral. It's a great place, but you can't count on it. You can't say, oh, I'm going to make this thing and I'm just going to put it out there and it's going to be so good people are going to find it. That's what I thought was going to happen, and I've learned since then that there's other stuff you have to do first. But it's a magical place,
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of that. I mean, right now, just for perspective, folks, I'm talking to Yuri Lowenthal from a place in southeast Michigan. I'm like an hour away from Detroit. And in setting this whole show up, my headquarters for this has been basically my home here in Michigan the whole time. That's how I set up emails and video voice chats with everyone, and I did the auditions over 60 hours of like Google Hangouts and Skype chats over 2 weeks. Yikes. That was a little rough with a full-time job, but this just shows how far we progressed. Even 6 or 7 years ago, what's going on right now is impossible.
And you've been shooting your other shows locally, right?
Absolutely, yeah. VB I did right here, literally in some cases in my backyard. All of our sketches, all that stuff. It's been locations around here, and that's how I met some of you guys. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I should have. I should have. My in-laws live close to you. I should have just had them go over to your house and hopped into the Google Hangout the old-fashioned way, sitting next to you.
Hey, that's not a problem. Anytime your in-laws want to talk to you and the newfangled computer technology is too much, yeah, come have them send them over, and we'll hang out. It's not a problem. I'll serve them tea and some crumpets. It'll be sweet.
Excellent.
Now, is Tara from Michigan or?
Not originally, but her parents moved there right when she was headed into high school, so she was there for high school in Chelsea, Michigan.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, that's maybe about an hour and a half, hour 45. Well, that's very cool. All right, well, next time you're in Michigan, let me know.
will do.
So when it comes to content on the internet, I think we are past the era of everything has to be 2 minutes and it has to be America's Funniest Home Videos. I think we're finally moving away from that. There's still that in there, and that's still entertaining. You know, I'll watch Uncle Ted get his balls smacked by a soccer ball and laugh. I'll do it because I'm a human.
Hmm.
But I think the maturity excuse me, the maturity. I just turned 13. I think the maturity in internet content has started in the past few years, and it's no longer just a playground for only viral things, which still succeed, but only viral videos or the cat video insult that's usually thrown at it. That's still a lot. I think the appetite for content is starting to evolve. Do you see it continuing to evolve and expand in this space, or do you think that there's only so far it's going to be able to evolve before you're going to have to start to move up to, I would say, like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Originals, that sort of intermediary between hardcore network entertainment and just the internet? What do you think?
Well, I think it's definitely evolving. I still think that people want to watch small bite-sized things in general on the internet, but their patience has grown. I think we're still a little ways away from people who will tune in in large numbers, in large significant numbers, to watch a 45-minute TV show or even a half an hour TV show on the internet. But on the other hand, you're right. With Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, I watch that stuff on my phone. I watch it on my laptop. I watch it on my iPad. So there are definitely companies that have gotten that down. It'll probably just come down to portals and aggregators, and because like we said before, if you like sci-fi stuff, you can sort of jump around on the internet and try to find it. But if you knew that there was a place that you could go to, like a sci-fi channel, and I don't mean that the SYFY channel,
Yeah, yeah. The
yeah,
Sifi?
the Sci-Fi channel, on the you would probably go there to watch those sort of things. And there are places like that jumping up already. Sites that aggregate certain types of content, and I think that's where we're headed. And I think it's only going to keep going there. I mean, the internet is far too powerful, and cable bills are far too high for it not to go in that direction, I think, which is why they're trying to squeeze more money out of us and to privatize the internet, and make that, make those kind of changes, I think,
Oh,
because they
yeah,
know,
yeah. Trying to
yeah,
control the channels of distribution.
yeah, it's access. It's all about access, and we have greater access now. And I'm not just talking about people illegally downloading things. I just mean access to content essentially for free, without having to go to a cable station to have expensive cable package where I also have to pay a lot of money for football I'm not going to watch.
Definitely, and I think for years I remember the cable companies were fighting the idea of a la carte, like tooth and nail, and they'll go to the gates of hell to stop it. I think one of my favorite ironies about the internet is the fact that a la carte programming is pretty much here. I mean, it's damn close at this point to being
Hmm.
a normal default mode for entertainment. I mean, even HBO is trying to figure out how to be able to offer HBO Go without having to have a cable package already in store. Uh,
Yeah. Well, yeah, and now I have some of my HBO on Amazon Prime, and I'll tell you what, if there was a Netflix equivalent that was just all genre stuff, sci-fi and horror and fantasy, I would pay a monthly fee to belong to that, to have that service. And I think I'm not the only one.
I don't think so either. And I think the biggest thing is because, you can either go pay 40, 50, 60 bucks for a cable package, or you can pay $8 to Netflix and $8 to Hulu and get the same thing.
Yeah, and I think people are still resistant to paying for anything. I think it's in our nature to want to get as much for free as possible. But I gave up my cable a while ago when I realized that, what I was paying a month versus what I was using, and then what was available on Netflix and Hulu and the services that I already had, plus I would look at I'd calculate what it would cost for me to buy just the shows that I was watching on iTunes, and the math worked out against cable's favor, and that's when I switched.
That's what it's all about. It's the right price point. It's yes, people do want things for free, but they are willing to pay for them if they think the price is worth it. And we're seeing, Netflix ain't having no problem charging $8 a month.
Right. And I hope that people, I'm cavalierly said, we always want to get stuff for free, but things have changed since I've become a content provider. And I hope that people, feel that there's a value in certain things. That was one of the greatest things about when we were doing Shelf Life, and for the 4th season, we really wanted to blow it out, production values, and take the characters off the shelf and run them around the house and do all sorts of cool stuff. And we were like, well, we can't do that and pay for it ourselves. We need to see if there's money out there. And we did an Indiegogo campaign, and the fans of the show, who had already had 3 seasons, stepped up, and we were able to raise even a little bit over our target amount. And almost even better than the fact that we got that money so we could make the 4th season was the knowledge that people liked our show enough to pay for it. Because on the internet, and Louis C.K. No, it wasn't Louis C.K. It was Kevin Pollak, I think. He had his show out there for free for a while, and it was hugely popular. And he's like, these guys, it's going to be no problem to have everybody, start charging just a little bit to keep going and, keep the show going that they already love. And he levied that, and they all went away because there's so much free stuff on the internet, and if you got to pay for this, I can think of 1 million other things that I don't have to pay for. Let me go and see what that's all about.
Absolutely. And in that case, he also set up the expectation of, hey, I've done it free this long. Don't worry, guys. Oh, by the way.
Right. Yeah. So I'm hoping that people, start voting with their dollars. I want to see more of this. Well, it's worth it for me to pay that directly to the person who's going to make that, and not to a cable company who said that maybe they'll be getting FearNet in the future, or the whatever it is.
Yeah, the way the pie has to be cut up over 15 different layers. I think one of my favorite things about seeing the web series and the web content that's funded by the crowd is that it's literally directly being sold from the entertainers to the consumers themselves.
Yeah.
And that's huge. That's just amazing.
Yeah, and that must be terrifying to, studios and networks. Well, clearly not terrifying. I'm sure they still think that they're unstoppable. But the time is coming when that won't necessarily be the case. Musicians have already done it. Musicians have cut out the middleman and gone straight to building a fan base. And I think other forms of entertainment are clearly on their way. It's already here.
Yeah, I think the first time we see a situation where what you and I would call a web series is able to get like a big name talent, like say. Bernie Sue is the guy that writes House of Cards, the American version of House of Cards, and say suddenly Kevin Spacey goes, I'm going to be Frank Underwood in this House of Cards. I think the day we see that big name talent move into the space, because that's where the story is, that's what interests me. I think that'll be the next plateau for what we consider web TV.
Yeah. And it's it's already happening. I see lots of big name talent step into web series because they get to do something different. You know, they get to do something more exciting, and you know, if the people producing it are doing their job right, it doesn't take that much time out of their, you know, their expensive work week, and so you get, you know, people like, you know, John Hamm, and you know, I mean, the list goes on and on of people who will hop into a, you know, hop into a web series if they like the person making it or they like the content enough.
Yeah, I know. Jeff Daniels did an interview with our local Detroit news affiliate because he was up for an Emmy for the newsroom this year,
Right.
and Devin Skilling had asked him, the local anchor had asked him, okay, well, he's like, why television? Why are all these big name actors going to TV? Because the perception that things like Variety and the Hollywood Reporter want to give you is they must be hard up for money. Oh, no one wants to, you know, no one must want to hire that guy because,
Right.
you know, that's why he's at TV. But I really like that Jeff Daniels said, well, that's because that's where the writing is.
Yeah.
And they're starting to realize more and more that as feature films are becoming more and more anchored only to massive franchises that can be exploited for years on end, which is just, that's a more efficient corporate model. I mean, I'll bag on it as a nerdy comic book fanboy myself too, but from a corporate standpoint, it's an most easily replicable model for them to exploit in order to get profits and stuff. But you know, Jeff Daniels was clear. It's like we're all going to TV because that's where the writing is. That's where there's something new, where there's something different, and I expect that trend to continue.
Yeah, and not just the writing. You look at a lot of shows these days, and it looks, you know, at least as good as feature film stuff. I mean, True Detective was, every frame of that was gorgeous, and you know, the director came from features. You know, a lot of those guys, a lot of feature directors too, are coming to TV because they get to do something different, or they get to, you know, take you know, a story and build it out over, you know, develop it over a much longer time, and you know, you know, feature films take, you know, 3-4 years to get made, you know, if you're lucky. And you know, with TV, the turnaround is so fast that, you know, it's nothing but a draw, I think, for most people in entertainment now.
Yeah, definitely TV has become the place for storytelling, much more so than spectacle. I think,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
we saw the heyday of feature films, and we had our Gandhis and our Godfathers and the Last Emperors and all that stuff, and then that became more and more about big, fun spectacles, and then slowly but surely, TV started going, hey, look, we can actually tell more of a story over a longer time than having to like bum rush something into a 95-minute feature film.
Yeah. That said, I love going to the movie. Like, I know nowadays everybody's got a, you know, a huge TV and surround sound, and you know, you can, you know, sip your bourbon while you watch stuff. But I love going to the going to the movies is like church for me, and I will always love that aspect of, you know, going to that giant dark room and staring at, you know, a flickering light for 2 hours and feeling all the emotions. So there'll always be a place for that for me, and I'll watch blockbuster movies and tiny indie movies, you know, for different, you know, to get different things.
Absolutely. For me, it's the communal experience. I mean, no matter how big your television is at home, you don't get the experience of sharing this film with a room of strangers, and you know, in a majority of the cases that you don't know, and just having that experience.
Yeah, and plus, you know, it's funny. I never made this connection till right now, so you're getting it first.
Yes.
You know how you're like, I don't need a gym membership. I'm gonna buy a weight set, and I'm gonna put it in my living room, and I'm gonna get a chin-up bar, and I'm gonna get a, you know, a treadmill and a, you know, whatever, an elliptical machine, and I'm gonna get so fit because I'm gonna have it right here in my. And then like after a week, you know, it's like 3 weeks later, you're putting it on the curb. You have to there are certain things you have to go somewhere else to make it into a ritual. You know, it has to be like a consecrated space to actually get it done. And for me, movies are like that. I watch movies at home. I have a decent setup myself, you know, and it's very comfortable, and I love that I can do that. But I would still say that because it's more of an event for me to go out and experience it in a theater, I still see more movies in theaters than I do at home. And I'm probably in the minority these days, and I know it's expensive to go to the movies, you know, increasingly so. But that's an experience that I'm willing to pay for.
Well, and you know, everyone owns an iPod. We still go to music concerts.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so very much a parallel in between them. It's like you can't beat the experience of the live concert with a group of people, sitting there rocking out to the same music that you get from listening to it, while you're jogging on your treadmill in your house with your iPod on.
Right. Right.
So let's move a little bit here, and we'll talk a little bit, a couple topics here. The first topic is we're both into the sort of world of superheroes and comic books.
Yeah.
And you've worked in them, and with your work on the animated side of it, I don't know if it's something I just perceive. Part of the reason I wanted to do Apotheosis was because already we're in the era, I call it the era of Iron Man, because really Robert Downey Jr.'s first Iron Man was what started our current sort of bar for superhero movies. For better or for worse, I mean, in some cases it's frustrating because RDJ did so good as Tony Stark that too many male heroes are being patterned after that version of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what made Green Lantern suck for me. It wasn't Ryan Reynolds' fault. They wrote Ryan Reynolds as Tony Stark with a Green Lantern ring, and then they wondered why it stunk.
Right. Right. Well, that's I think with the success of Dark Knight and making everything else dark, we've suffered in that not all heroes are supposed to be that. Not all heroes need to be Iron Man. Not all heroes need to be Batman. And just because they were successful doesn't mean we want all our fucking heroes to be like that. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, that's one of the things I liked so much about that first Captain America movie. They didn't try to make him into Batman. Sure, he's got his issues, but he's a simple guy with simple needs, and he's not a bummer all the time, and and Guardians, also hopefully will have proved to the world that you need to. It's gotta fucking be funny. I don't care how dark it is. If you don't include some humor in there, you're gonna lose us. And Iron Man was that way too. There was RDJ's edgy, but he's hilarious, and James Gunn killed it in Guardians with the comedy, and we still got all the heart and the action and the darkness and the things that we want out of a big space opera. I think there's
That's what worries me the most. I had read recently, I don't remember where it was from, but it was an article that said basically DC's put like a humor moratorium as they march forward into their Justice League of Sadness and gravelly voices.
I'll tell you, if Superman versus Batman, which I'll be first in line for, if Superman versus Batman does not have any comedy in, does not have any humor in it, I'll be hard pressed to trust DC on any feature films. When people are saying I'm not going to go see Superman Batman because I love Arrow too much, they should pay attention to things like whatever's getting them to watch those DC heroes. They gotta find that, man, because Marvel is destroying them, and I know it is a competition. It is absolutely a competition, and Marvel has figured it out, and I don't know if DC's just stubborn about adopting some of the things that have worked with Marvel movies, but Marvel movies aren't without fault, but they're doing all right.
Yeah, it feels to me like when it comes to movies and TV, it's like DC's doing better with TV when it comes to Arrow, and I really like how they're setting up the Flash. Although it blows my mind that they're going to have a movie Flash and a television Flash, and it's not the same guy.
I know.
Probably because the movie Flash will have to talk like this.
Oh God.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's gonna have a gravelly voice. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. It's gonna be awesome. Everyone ever. But it's just that DC's doing really well with television, and then with movies, it's almost like, holy shit, Avengers worked. We thought those guys were never gonna beat us because we have the Supermans.
And recently, more importantly, the Batmans.
They were absolutely, and it's really interesting to me because it's like Batman worked so well because Christopher Nolan made sure to make a very specific version of him that was as anchored in reality as you could get. That's why I respected the choice that Bane was just on a painkiller instead of a science fiction steroid. I thought that was really cool. That was a great way to be like, oh, that's why he's such a beast in hand-to-hand combat. It's damaging him. It just doesn't hurt, and so we'll fight through it.
Right.
But with that success, it feels to me like DC's like, well, we have to make everything. I know Christopher Nolan's producing some of these and shepherding them through, but it feels too much like a corporate director to be like everything has to be dour and cynical, like the Dark Knight saga from Christopher Nolan. And I think it's going to make the product suffer, especially when they're saying they're going to release a movie every like 3 months, starting in 2016 for like 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm getting nauseous. I'm sorry. I just gotta go. I gotta go puke in a bucket and then cry.
I understand. I'm with you, man.
So here's the thing. The question I wanted to ask you, because you've done work on the animated side. What do you think it is about the animated stuff that always seems to hit it out of the park? When some of the movies will just sort of frustrate you and make you sort of bat your head into the wall. What do you think the disconnect is in the execution between them?
I think some of it is the humor. I mean, a lot of people, laughed at it at first, but Batman: Brave and the Bold is still one of the best, Batman shows. Even Batman the animated series, they always had their moments where they could let that dark curtain down or take the dark curtain up and show a lighter side. And you saw that on Young Justice, you saw that in Legion of Superheroes, all the shows that I was involved in that I truly think are good, really good storytelling and really good shows. They all have that. I don't think that's probably the only thing. I'm sure there are other things going for it as well. A lot of those things don't take as long as giant tentpole pictures take to put together either. So they can experiment a little more. But sometimes they don't get long to experiment. Shows get canceled like that if they're not selling toys. But maybe that's another thing. Well, no, it's probably all ties into merchandising, whether it's movies or animation. Animation also, I think you can slip things in because still animation is looked at like, oh, that's just a kid's thing, or that's not real. That they have fun slipping fun things into that you wouldn't normally see in in animated things and cartoons. You also get I know adults who watch cartoons and they'll watch the same cartoons that the kids do. So you can tack a larger age range as well. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody who's really thought it through, who has sort of all the answers as to why it's working. But we live in an amazing era of animation too. I never thought that I'd see them animate Dark Knight Returns. That was insane.
Seriously. Especially, I was expecting to see Frank Miller scowling right off camera the whole time.
Yeah. He does in Sin City 2. Don't worry.
Oh, I know he does. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, the things that they're doing, now. I mean, the things that we're finally getting to see. And sure, it didn't look exactly the same as when I was reading those books back then. But they managed to, in both the writing and the direction of the animation, they captured all those elements that I loved from Dark Knight Returns, and a lot of other things that they're producing now. They can go edgier. All these direct to DVD means that they don't have to. Well, I mean, I don't know the rules and regulations and law, all the lawyerly things, but I would imagine they don't have to run quite by the same standards as you would if you were putting it on Cartoon Network. So they get to do more. I was surprised at some of the things they did in Dark Knight Returns. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you also get to do casting that makes sense, like say Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern, as opposed to putting poor Ryan Reynolds, who should have been the Flash and not Green Lantern.
I know.
Would have been the perfect Flash.
There's Well, I guess it's too late now. I was gonna say there's still a chance he could, because they certainly okay with him playing lots of different, heroes even in the same universe. So.
Oh, sure, and then they like to blame him for their failures. At least that's what Warner Brothers likes to do. But for me, me personally, full disclosure, if this was say a decade ago, I think the perfect Hal Jordan would have been Bruce Campbell.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, the look, the build, the hair. He has the slight graying temples. He's
the cockiness, because Hal is the cocky one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'm a badass pilot now. I got a ring that works on my will. I'm good to go.
Yeah.
You could do a joke where he materializes a chainsaw over one of his hands. Come on, there's so many cool things you could have done with that.
Oh my God, missed opportunities.
That's okay. When I get a time machine, I'll fix it.
Thank you.
Bruce, you'll see me 5 years ago. I'll take care of you. I got this.
I got this.
Yeah, I got this. I just need plutonium, and Mr. Fusion will take care of the rest of the way.
Right. Nice.
So now let's talk a little bit about you mentioned earlier Con Artists, a film that you and Tara have coming up. Tell us a little bit about Con Artists. I know a little bit about it, but let's let the audience know what you guys are cooking over there.
Yeah, it came from sort of the funny world that we live in as voice actors traveling to conventions, and we noticed this funny thing happened. As voice actors, we don't get recognized on the street or anything like that. There's no real fame in the real world attached to what we do. And yet, when you go to a convention, everybody there, you're treated like you're famous there. So there's this real sort of, disparate feeling of being, as soon as you walk through that door, you're famous. As soon as you walk out, you're nobody. And it's always been because people don't, sort of attach the fame to anything physical that they can see out in the world. So we always thought that was a really funny dichotomy, and our friend Boris Kievsky, who's a director and an actor, came to us one day with the idea, and we went with it. So over the course of a year, we went to 11 conventions and shot both documentary and staged sort of mockumentary footage at 11 conventions all over the world, and put it together in this sort of Christopher Guest kind of best in show style mockumentary
Nice.
that has a lot of really good information and documentary things about the convention world and anime fans and cosplay and things like that. But then we had to have a little story attached to it, and that was staged. Tara and I play sort of big-headed versions of ourselves in real life, and it's
Ron Burgundy style.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
it's a lot of fun, man, and that's why we've been really fighting to get it out to I think all the people who would really enjoy it, the fans and people who go to shows like that. Although we tried to make the film accessible to people who weren't familiar with that whole setting as well. And I'm excited. Hopefully it'll be available on VOD a little later this year. We've been fighting to make that happen, so keep an eye on the website. Is just conartistsmovie.com, and you can check out the trailer there, and I'm sure we'll post information as we get it.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'll have links and information in the description box down here for the archive version as well. And as that, if the VOD comes a while from now, we'll probably bring you back on the show, and we'll really push it a little bit more.
Thank you.
Because anytime I can see silly Ron Burgundy-esque versions of people, I'm all about it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Hey everybody, come and see how good Yuri looks, because he's looking good. So when it comes to, we'll bring it back around to Apotheosis a little bit. When it comes to a show like this, I don't know if you're talking to your fans, because everyone's fans, they come to you for something specific. In your particular case, a lot of your fans come to you from your voiceover work. What would be the best way that you would want to tell your fans about potentially supporting the show? What is it about Yuri being in this that may still catch their attention? Now, this may not be everyone's thing. That's right off the bat. That's always the case. But for people that come to you, especially, they don't get to see your face a whole lot. Hopefully they've checked out as Bug Boy. They've seen Tank Dempsey. They've seen you popped up. I know you also you and Tara did Recalculating, correct?
Yeah, which now if you fly Virgin Airlines, they've got it on their entertainment system. That's a trip.
That's pretty sweet. Did Richard Branson bless the film himself? Because I think he does.
I don't know that everything had to go by him. I'm sure he has people that although Richard Branson's crazy. I mean, maybe he did see it.
He probably says "my people," and it's probably just him in a luxurious 4,000-seat theater that only he sits in.
Right. I would like to believe that that's the case.
It is now.
I think for my fans, you're right. It won't be exactly what you're used to seeing me or hearing me do, and yet it will, because everything that I do is going to have at the core of it, the same thing. And hopefully it's, the thing that keeps people, coming back and keeps people engaged, even though they've seen me do, other stuff. So, I'm excited. There'll definitely be a spark there of me getting to do something that I've never gotten to do before. And by that, I don't mean to be, in front of the camera, but to tell this kind of story. So I think it'll come out in my performance whether I like it or not. So I would flock to that, folks.
I think that's the best kind of threat that can be offered to you. You're going to enjoy this whether you think you will or not.
Right.
That's guaranteed. Yuri has just told you. You're going to like it right now.
So hop onto the Kickstarter and click pass it around or donate, because this is something we'd really like to do.
Absolutely. We have a 70-minute, basically a pilot, but it's the prologue that we want to shoot for you guys, and that'll be broken up into 6 different sort of chapters. And then, when it comes to the first season, I've already written a draft of this. It's already, sitting on a shelf, ready to be read, reviewed. I made sure to have all this work because I didn't. If this succeeds, we make this pilot. The first question is going to be from however we get the first season made. Okay, so what happens immediately after this? And so I needed to make sure. Will Ferrell was able to make Talladega Nights literally when him and Adam McKay went into a Sony boardroom and pitched an idea off the top of their head for 25 minutes. Literally, him and Adam McKay were talking about how funny it would be if Will Ferrell did his Ron Burgundy thing with a NASCAR driver, and Sony was like, sold, what do you want for the budget?
Wow.
Yeah. I am not there yet. Look, does this look like Will Ferrell's face, kids? No, there's no Will Ferrell here. I can approximate his voice a little bit, but we're not at that level yet. So for me, I knew that I had to be able to answer the question, okay, so what happens after this?
You guys do have both of your last names start with the same first 3 letters in that order.
That is absolutely true, except that I'm much shorter, I'm much poorer, and I wore a cheerleading outfit less than he did.
Okay, all right.
That's it. It's just if I would have had the experience in the cheerleader outfit like he did in Saturday Night Live, I'd probably be a little bit closer. But
yeah. Okay, I see your point.
I know, man. I whip myself for it every day. I'm very ashamed that I failed at trying to replicate Will Ferrell, but I'll get it one day. Don't you worry. I'm a very important man. I've read many thick books.
Leather-bound books.
Oh, leather-bound books. Yes, the smell of rich mahogany. I think YouTube's going to flag us for violating Anchorman copyrights, knowing Paramount. Yeesh.
Right.
So one last thing. There was actually something I completely forgot to bring up before we end this for the evening. We also have something else coming up I wanted to bring up, which was Topsy McGee versus the Sky Pirates. More fantasy. What do we have going on with that? Give us a little rundown of what Topsy McGee is doing against them Sky Pirates. I mean, really, what's her problem with the Sky Pirates?
They're pirates, dude. Tara, we'd always wanted to make Tara this amazing sort of Victorian steampunk hero, and finally she said, "Great, I'm gonna write a script and let's do it." So, but because to do something like that right, you need lots of costumes and sets and all sorts of money. So we decided to make a short version as a proof of concept, and we did it, and it looks great. And we're just waiting on some effect shots right now, but it's pretty close to done. But in the meantime, while we're waiting on that, we've decided to build out the world by doing a Topsy graphic novel that tells a totally different story than the short does. So all that is in the works. The short will be out more likely sooner than the comic books, but we're pushing on all the fronts. We want to build out that world because it's an exciting place. No wait, I can't hear you. I can see you, but I can't hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go. That was weird. Thanks a lot, Google. You hate me.
That was because of your Will Ferrell quote earlier.
Exactly. It's automatically blocking it out. Yup, but we flagged a similarity. When it comes to doing that ancillary stuff, like the comic books, what was the impetus for that? What inspired you guys to say, hey, let's have a companion piece that's a comic book?
Well, we didn't have the money to take Topsy McGee to Egypt to save Solomon's scarab. So, we figured it would
Man, so
probably
close.
be cheaper to draw it, I know, and to write that story and build the world out that way until people start throwing money at us to do, this giant, amazing, steampunk action series, which is something we're all very passionate about. And we've seen people sort of touch at it in recent years, but I don't think anybody's quite nailed it yet. And we're sort of taking what we've learned and what we've seen and what we've liked and what we haven't liked from other things that we've other attempts, and we're trying to make it awesome. So far it's working, so I'll definitely keep everybody posted on that.
Hey, that's what I'm all about. All right, so now we have a very important, serious question for you. I know you were born in Alliance, Ohio, but you've been all over the place since there. You've been to Japan, you've been to Nigeria, you've been to, I imagine, Germany. What other countries have you gone to? Give us the list here. Where were you as a kid?
Yeah, my dad was in the Foreign Service, and so we traveled a lot growing up. So I was sort of all over West and North Africa growing up. I spent a lot of time in Morocco as well, and Senegal, and Niger, like you said. Japan was on my own. That was my own thing. That was after I'd gone to college. That was my choice. But I was too in love with Japan and Japanese culture to not go. Spent most of my growing up in Tennessee, actually in Nashville. I like you said, I was born in Alliance, but I grew up in Nashville. And yeah, I like to travel. My mom is originally from Austria, so we've got a lot of people still in all over Europe, and so all over the place. I love to travel, and thankfully Tara also has a love of traveling, and so we, together we've been to different places in Europe, and we've been to Iceland and Japan and Thailand and Cambodia, and that's kind of a priority for us, I guess. So maybe we're both adventurers at heart, I guess.
Okay, well, so this brings me to my important, serious question, Yuri. I need you to be straight with me, all right?
I'll try.
Were you actually doing those things for travel, and your dad was in the Peace Corps, or were you in fact trying to hunt down notorious international fugitive Carmen Sandiego?
If I told you, I'd have to kill Carmen. So wait.
Well, I mean,
no,
I think that's kind of the point. I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? I mean,
well,
is that what you were doing with all this travel? Were you actually like just a bounty hunter for Carmen Sandiego, and you inherited it from your father? Because that would make an awesome fan film.
Yes, that is actually the truth.
I'm just saying that if that woman can somehow steal the Eiffel Tower and put it in her trench coat, I think she's a danger to humankind. Well, and I don't want that running around.
That's how I got Tara. I thought Tara was Carmen Sandiego, and I captured her, and she sort of went along with it for a while because she liked what we had going, and she only recently revealed to me that she's not Carmen Sandiego.
No, she couldn't be Carmen Sandiego because she would probably have a name like Terribly Dangerous is probably what they would call her, because all of her minions had all those awesome shitty pun names.
That's true.
Except for Double Trouble, those guys were just racist. That was like the white guy with the black flat top and the black guy with the white flat top, and I'm just, all the other ones are like, oh, these other guys have these wacky characters, and I'm like, that's just a stereotype white guy and black guy, and that makes me sad.
Right. You guys had it going for everything. You guys couldn't have figured that one out? Okay.
Couldn't, yeah, that's the one they couldn't figure out. They're like, well, I mean, I don't know. The rest of them are hilarious white French puns, and we just got a white guy and a black guy. What do we do?
Right.
Yeah, just have them do the little snappy finger dance and steal, I don't know, some shitty bridge no one's ever heard of.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Somebody had to do it.
All right. Well, that will end us for this evening, Mr. Lowenthal.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Once again, as a rundown, Mr. Yuri Lowenthal joins the cast of Apotheosis as our freelance spy, Peter Morrison. He is the man that pulls the first thread that starts everything tumbling into process. We have 14 days to go in our Kickstarter campaign. The link will be down in the descriptors if you're watching the archive version. The live version, they should actually have it up on the screen right now in the Google Plus pages. See if you can help us out. Every single dollar counts. Every single share counts. We need to get the word out and see if we can get people to help us with a really wonderful opportunity to start telling you a really fun, different kind of superhero story. Let me tell you right now, I am not reinventing the wheel. I'm not going to try to sell you some pretentious bullshit about how I'm going to change the face of web TV and drama and comic book, blah, blah, blah. I'm not about that. I just really wanted to write something where, as I created it, I said, hey, you know what we don't see characters usually choose to do? Let me follow where that goes. Let me follow where this goes. Let's have, Peter Morrison isn't some disheveled conspiracy theory guy like Mel Gibson, to where he's just stumbling around and knows about every conspiracy and just babbles incoherently all the time, but he just happens to be right. What happens if a smart guy knows what's going on and is able to counteract all the different things that the bad guys in the conspiracy do to try to stop you? That's what Yuri brings to the table as Peter Morrison, and we would absolutely love your help if you can afford the money and or the time in order to assist us.
Yes, please.
Just to run down again for Mr. Lowenthal, you can see him coming soon in a few projects. Monkey Kingdom Productions will be bringing us Topsy McGee versus the Sky Pirates. He's currently in the post-production stage. We've also got Recalculating, which when you fly Virgin, you can check them out. I'm sure it'll be in other places too, but right now Sir Richard Branson, God of Sweet Hair, has control of it. So you're gonna have to buy a plane ticket, just round trip, fly to watch Recalculating, fly back home. Done.
Our next short, we're gonna have to make sure they get on Virgin Galactic. That'll be the goal.
That'd be sweet. Yeah, just moving around. And then when he does his like SpaceX programs, on your way to the moon, check out Yuri and Tara. They're kicking booty. So yeah, Yuri's got a lot of projects coming up. One of them is with Apotheosis. We'll have links down in the descriptor box for the archive version. Again, I want to thank my guest, Mr. Lowenthal. We'll be doing this again. Whether the campaign succeeds or not, Talking the Tightrope is a permanent part of the channel now. So I will absolutely be looking forward to bringing him back and catching up when we get closer to projects. Hopefully we'll be able to bring him back because we'll be talking about our sweet project that we're trying to do right now. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some of that sweet optimism, y'all. So there it is. 2 sassy black women played by 2 white dudes. Because of that. Right there. We are strong, independent black women that don't need no man.
See?
We got this. We just look at this entertainment we're offering you. All we're asking for is like $1 or a share. And we'll just be the worst ethnic stereotypes we can think of and get hated by the internet. Which, at least right now with video gaming, being hated by the internet seems to generate money.
That's true. We haven't even begun to show you what there is to hate about us.
Exactly. We will, if you want to see just how sad this shit can get, you donate, and we'll just keep driving it right into the toilet. Just for you. We don't do that for anyone else. Just for you. Not you to the left. No one cares. But you, and you, you're good to go. We like you. So for my guest, Mr. Yuri Lowenthal.
Oh, there's Tara. She was.
And there's our cameo from Tara. Come back in here, Tara. The camera wasn't on you when you popped in. Pop back in.
Hi.
There it is, Tara Platt. You just got a free Tara Platt cameo, and we didn't charge you. We didn't charge you 1 cent.
1 cent.
You know that's a value. That's like a $14 billion value right there, and you got it for free.
You can't put a price on that.
I just did $14 billion, but I mean, yeah, I see what you mean. Theoretically, mathematically, it is priceless. It's very few people have $14 billion to spend on it.
Right.
Except for Comcast. Was that a Comcast tattoo I saw on her neck? Because that's really uncomfortable. Probably. Gosh darn it, we lost another one to Comcast. So for my guest, Yuri Lowenthal, and myself, I am James Fernandez, and I'm the man to blame here at Tightrope. Thank you for joining us. Again, the clock is 14 days. This will end at 3 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday morning, September 19th is the end of the campaign. That's actually squarely midnight for the West Coast in the Pacific Standard Time. So if you can find $1 or a few minutes to help share it on your social networks, spread the word and let them know that I personally want to bring Yuri into something he hasn't had a chance to do yet. Yuri is one of 15 people that I really want to show off in Apotheosis, and the only people now that it's in the hands of to make it happen are you. It's not any studio executive, it's not any internet middleman, it's none of that. It is squarely in the hands of our fans and the people that are interested in a different kind of comic book story. Thank you so much for joining us. We certainly appreciate it, and I will see you all tomorrow night when my guests will be Michelle Jubilee Gonzalez and Mr. Davis Aguila, who play two of the superhumans that are involved in the second generation of the project. Until then, the man to blame bids you a fair adieu, as does Mr. Yuri Lowenthal and the cameo, the $14 billion cameo of his wife, Sarah Platt. Thank you for coming out, folks. Have yourself a good night.